So Al Unser Jr. heads pit side. He's out of the pit sequence. Jan Beekes is there waiting for him. Jan?
Paul, he just got that advantage, but he's going to have to relinquish it now that he's in the pits. This shouldn't take too long because being out of that pit sequence, he can take on less fuel than the other runners. They've got the 4 tires on. They're waiting for the time stop on fuel very quick. They're just waiting for the go-ahead from Rick Gauss. He's in there now resetting his computer. He's underway.
So Al Unser Jr. back into the fight in 15.4 seconds. In the meantime, on the circuit, Raoul Boisel and Robbie Gordon battle for 3rd place.
When Jan mentions resetting the computer, every time you take on a new load of fuel, you press a button and zero everything, so the fuel countdown starts from 0 again.
That's just the information that the driver needs to know how far he will carry and what his fuel consumption is in the race, but you have to have the baseline first. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Paul, remember, Robbie Gordon was among those who elected to come in the earliest on that second and what they hoped would be final pit stop. Lap 58, meaning he had to go 31 laps. Most everybody figures 30 is about the maximum at this place. Now, we just checked with A.J. Foyt. He gave us that sly wink, and he says, well, I think we're going to be all right, but they're going to be very, very close. In fact, we have an unconfirmed report that they've leaned down to 90% in terms of how rich or how lean they're running the fuel. And you really, I believe, and Derek could confirm this, you can't go much below 90% without really running those temperatures up.
You can't go much below 90%, you're right, but Gary, I think Scott Goodyear may be playing the same game because he is now suddenly 12 seconds behind Emerson Fittipaldi. I don't think he has enough fuel to run that car flat out.
Guzman has fallen out of the race now with a broken header. That moves Nigel Mansell up to 14th. The telemetry, of course, you see, is coming and being transmitted directly out of Raoul Boisel's car. The other car is Robbie Gordon, and on a couple of these corners, it's very wide indeed. That's a pretty fine line between blocking and just driving an unusual line.
Well, we did get a good example there of Gordon taking the middle line, which makes it difficult for the man trying to make the pass, and suddenly he ducks back. It was on the borderline of blocking, but remember, if you aggressively move left and right to try and deliberately stop somebody passing, Wally Dallenbach will black flag you and bring you in for a short interview.
Wally tends to say that it's not so much the first move that you take. The race course does, after all, belong to the car in front. It's when you make that second move that they're going to take the hard look at you. So Fittipaldi is still our leader by 13 seconds over second place, Scott Goodyear. The point standings at this moment, if Fittipaldi continues with his win, it doesn't look like that will change much. And the battle in the championship will go on for another race.
The new
It's race number 15 of the PPG IndyCar World Series from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. That'll be coverage of the Nazareth race. And of course the championship goes on there, but the battle at Mid-Ohio remains here between Robbie Gordon and Raoul Boisel. It is a fight for 3rd place, currently occupied by Gordon.
And it is a fight for 3rd place. It may become a fight for 2nd place because they are reeling in Scott Goodyear.
Fight continues, revolving around 3rd place. Fittipaldi still the leader, followed by Goodyear. The key now would seem to me to be the fact that Fittipaldi seems to be pulling away from Scott Goodyear, Derek, at what, about a second a lap?
He has control of the race now. We're only speculating that Goodyear, having had to run 31 laps on that last tank of fuel, may have to short shift. But look at Mansell. He may be about to get back one of his laps. Look at this here, over the curve. Why would he try something like that?
Mansell, as he closed on Fittipaldi, jumped the curve. That's Olivier Briard just behind him, not in contention in this fight. It's not truly a fight in any way for position here. It is simply Mansell trying to unlap himself from Emerson Fittipaldi. Briard runs in 17th place right now, 2 laps behind the lead. Mansell runs in 15th and is trying to get back to a mere lap behind the lead of the race.
And that was a very aggressive move by Mansell. Luckily, there was enough room on the inside. When he knew he wasn't going to be able to make the pass, he drove over the curb, but actually lost about 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 car lengths to Emerson. He's obviously running fast though.
Take a look back at that move in the keyhole with
look,
Nigel to the inside.
He's 2 car lengths behind him when he makes his lunge. Now he realizes he can't make it. Up over the top of the curve, almost hit the back wing of Emerson and goes wide. Aggressive move by Nigel Mansell, didn't quite pull it off.
Has to take the straight line there for a moment, get to the asphalt, and then turn the car. How'd you like to have been Briard at that moment to watch all of that? Best seat in the house, but not one I would have liked. So there's Fittipaldi sitting just ahead of Mansell. Again, not a battle for position. The championship fight goes on.
Emerson, because he's in the championship fight, if he sees Mansell coming down the inside, he may elect to actually give him a bit of room because he will have realized what happened back in the keyhole. He doesn't need to have any part of an incident with Mansell right now.
So the fight on the circuit, though not a fight in contact, is Fittipaldi and Mansell. Gary Gerald, you have something on these two.
Paul, I think Derek hit it right on the nose. We understand here in the Penske camp that they've told Emerson, Mansell gets up there, just let him go on by. They don't want any part of any kind of a duel between the former world champions from F1. So look for that as they continue to work their way around this circuit.
I wonder why you'd even have to begin to tell Fittipaldi something like that. Just a reminder, eh?
Just a friendly reminder. I mean, Mansell is a little bit far behind now. He closes up through this corner here. And this is where he made the lunge. Is he close enough this time? No, he's not.
While we watch these 2 world champions, the reigning world champion and a 2-time world champion, Emerson Fittipaldi, both the Andretti family and the Fittipaldis had some pretty good results in F1 today.
They did. Here you go. Here you go. Watch what happens here. Side by side, Emerson doesn't need to contest it. Move to the left. Let him go. It's not a race. Remember, you're racing for the championship, Emerson. That's him go. You're absolutely right. Michael Andretti, we watched him earlier this morning, had a tremendous 3rd place finish up on the podium for the very first time at Monza.
And Fittipaldi, 9th. Is that the order?
Yes, but we had a scary moment at the end of that race with Fittipaldi's teammate when he flew off the road.
Buddy Lazier back on his grass-cutting expeditions as he keeps the engine going, getting it around as that battle between Bussell and Gordon comes past. Now you look back from Mansell and see the leader of the race, Emerson Fittipaldi, but Bussell is managing to continue his fight with Robbie Gordon while Scott Goodyear sits alone in 2nd. Sports car course, most of the positions running static here. We're watching Al Unser Jr. close on Jimmy Vasser. Jimmy's had a particularly good day for their team, running in 9th place right now. Just so I don't leave this unclear, Christian Fittipaldi was running a fairly good race, but on the last lap he got into trouble.
Exactly. That's when he had the incident, did a complete backflip going over the start-finish line in a scary, scary moment that was even worse than we saw with Patrese and the Williams last year.
So here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, it is Emerson Fittipaldi, static at about 15 seconds ahead of Scott Goodyear. Robbie Gordon is 3rd. Raul Boesel is 4th. Ari Leyendyk is 5th, followed by Bobby Rahal and Mario Andretti. Scott Brayton is in 8th place, and you're watching the 9th place car of Jimmy Vasser as he tries to hold off 10th place Al Unser Jr.
And you clearly see Al Jr.'s different line through the keyhole as he blasts by Jimmy Vasser. He goes wide over the concrete patch, gets grip on the outside, and he definitely seems to slingshot off that right-hand hairpin much quicker than most of his other competitors.
Further update, Jan Vikas.
Well, you're talking about the Formula 1 race, and walking through the paddock today, we went by the Lola truck. All of a sudden, a huge roar came out of the Lola parts truck. We went inside. Everybody was watching Michael Andretti as he moved into 3rd position. Everyone here really excited about Formula 1, especially Michael Andretti's progress. Lots of drivers in there, Stefan Johansson and so on. And with our international coverage, there's a good chance those drivers are now watching here to see what, let's say, Nigel Mansell and those who have driven in Formula 1 are doing today. Also, Derek can tell you we had another flip here today with a driver not injured. It was in the Indy Lights race. It was Robbie Groff who took a big flip. He was also okay.
So, all the guys in F1 high.
Yes, exactly. Lots of speculation as to what Michael will do next year. I really don't believe I'm out on a limb if I say if he leaves Formula 1, it it will be Formula One's loss.
And the possibility of where he comes here, the name most often repeated seems to be Ganassi.
Well, I'd say there will be a line at his door at Nazareth if he becomes available.
On the other side of that, I think you're right. It would be nice to see Michael, now that he knows all the circuits, fighting that uphill battle with limited test time, unfamiliar cars, if he could get a good ride next year and show his true worth.
And we don't mean to talk over Jimmy Vasser because he is having an exceptionally good weekend. In the morning warm-up this morning, he was the third fastest car on the racetrack. So Vasser in that Codilux car having a very good weekend.
Nigel Mansell now about 15 seconds away from moving into 12th place, and in doing so taking the position from Hiro Matsushita and taking a PPG point. 12th place, the lowest position that awards a point. Gary Gerald, we come toward the end of the race, 75 laps complete. What's the fuel status?
Well, we mentioned there was concern for Robbie Gordon and those who pitted on lap 58. Emerson Fittipaldi made it to lap 59. The fuel situation looking good, and here's one of the tip-offs. Dave Kiefer, the fueler for Emo, just moments ago took his helmet off. When he takes his helmet off, there's no concern about fuel for Fittipaldi.
No concern, or is the fuel tank totally empty, Gary?
I can't see the hose at the moment, Paul, to know if there's some in there or not.
Robbie Gordon closes up behind Scott Goodyear. This just developing into a battle. You can see Boesel is there as well. 18 seconds ahead of this fight is Fittipaldi, running all alone, but still encountering some traffic. But now it's Robbie Gordon taking a real strong look at second place.
And taking Alonso Jr.'s line through that last section of the keyhole. I'm not sure Goodyear can fight back in this attack here because he's been losing almost a second a lap to Robbie Gordon.
Can't find it at all. Lets Gordon go past. Of course, fuel's still going to be a question there on Gordon's car. A.J. Foyt with that sly wink. It tells you absolutely nothing. So now Gordon into second place. Goodyear back to third. Boesel will be the next to line up and take on Scott Goodyear. 76 laps complete.
And Boesel has been able to keep pace with Robbie Gordon all the way through this last 10 to 15 laps. So he will mount probably an unchallenged attack on Scott Goodyear very shortly.
Well, Scott Goodyear certainly didn't fight back very hard when Robbie came up. Gary Gerald, are we talking some sort of strategy there?
Well, I think the problem is one of the handling of the car for Goodyear. Got a quick word a few minutes ago with Derek Walker and just said the balance on that set of tires they made on that second stop not as good as what they'd experienced earlier. Consequently, it's costing them. And to answer the fuel question for Fittipaldi, they have about 10 gallons left here in pit if they needed it.
If they need it. Doesn't look like they're going to need it at all. He's stabilized about 19 seconds now in front of second place Gordon, while third place Scott Goodyear, having his handling problems, has Boesel just behind him. This, of course, is a fight that gets one or the other on the podium. And all those after the race photographs, which at this point in the season can mean so much when you're bringing your portfolio around and saying, look, here's my latest podium finish just last weekend.
I'm trying to take a close look at Goodyear's car here to see if we can pick up where he's slower. It's very difficult to pick it up. Sometimes when the set of tires is bad, you just have to slow down. You don't see the car sideways or understeering off the racetrack. You just have to slow down. So Boesel looks as if he should be able to make a pass on Goodyear very shortly.
And of course, as we do like to keep reminding you, this is the only point in contact, this battle here between Goodyear and Boesel on the race course. We have the advantage of the extremely efficient EDS computer scoring, which gives us intervals all the way down through the field. And this is the fight on the course you're looking at, and it looks like for the moment it may go to Boesel. He moves inside on the keyhole, but no, Goodyear's not going to let him through. Gesture off the hand or just shifting the gear from Goodyear?
I don't know, but the last pass with Gordon was uncontested, and suddenly Goodyear begins to contest this pass with Boesel. So maybe things in that car are beginning to settle down a little bit.
They're through the best passing area on the course, now coming to one of the more difficult as Boesel comes to the outside. He has to be careful there. Remember,